Do you know what TV telecast had the second most watched TV audience of all time? You may be surprised at the answer. The movie I'm talking about is Goodbye, Farewell, and Amen, the final MASH episode. This film originally aired on CBS in February 1983. The final MASH episode was the most watched television show from 1983 until the Super Bowl in 2010. Many different plots are revealed in this final MASH episode. The main characters in the series are suddenly thrust into different roles that they were not accustomed to in earlier episodes. I will tell you about the roles that changed that I remember the most from the movie. Alan Alda, who played the martini-drinking, nurse-chasing chief surgeon Hawkeye Pierce, directed the final episode. We see Hawkeye take on a more serious role in the final episode. This is a drastic change from his earlier character. In the final episode, Hawkeye finally cracks under the pressures of war and combat surgery. He can no longer tolerate the brutality and human suffering of war and is admitted to a psychiatric ward. Hawkeye returns to the 4077th from the psychiatric ward, only to find his best friend, B.J. Honeycutt, who is played by Mike Farrell, has been discharged and sent home. This only adds to Hawkeye's despair. Hawkeye's character takes on a much more serious tone after psychiatric treatment. The joking and practical joking is gone from his character. I personally did not like this side of Hawkeye's character. He is much more enjoyable as a funny character. The transition of Hawkeye's character is only the beginning of the different plots that are played out during the movie. Another character was Major Charles Emerson Winchester, who was played by David Ogden Stiers. Charles, as he referred to in the movie, suffers a traumatic event which changes him forever. Classical music was always a refuge for Charles. It was his way of unwinding from the stress of combat surgery. Since the war was about to end, North Korean soldiers were surrendering in large numbers. A group of North Korean soldiers happens upon Charles and are taken to a makeshift prison camp at the 4077th. They would be exchanged for American soldiers after the war is over. Charles discovers that these prisoners are actually musicians. He attempts to teach them music by Mozart. The language barrier becomes very frustrating for Charles, but he's determined and will not give up. The prisoners are sent away to a prison camp, despite Charles' pleas that they remain at the 4077th. Sometime later, the camp received a large number of wounded, and one of the wounded happened to be one of the North Korean musicians. Charles asks about the other prisoners. He is told that this one soldier is the only one that made it this far, but he too is dead. Charles is distressed about this and smashed one of his favorite classical records. Charles later commented that music was always a refuge for him, but now it will be a constant reminder. I enjoyed this part of the movie. The character of Charles was always so cold and matter of fact. It's interesting to see him become more human, so to speak. Examples I've given are but two of the interesting plots that are played out during the movie. It seemed that every major character was transformed in one way or another. If you already guessed, I'm a MASH fanatic. I've probably watched the final episode at least 10 times. I continue watching episode at least every day. I encourage you to watch the final episode of MASH. It's both funny and serious at the same time. This television series is one of the true American TV classics. Give it a try. 125 million people can't be wrong. Thank you.